Get off my property. That's what the HOA president told me the day I came home from deployment. 18 months in Iraq, dodging bullets and sandstorms, and when I finally make it back, I find 3 luxury villas standing where my grandfather's cabin used to be, my family spot, the only place I ever called home. Every deed, every permit, every rental contract had my signature on it, except I never signed a damn thing. I never sold my land. But somebody built themselves an empire, and they made sure I looked like the mastermind behind it. If you've ever stared down a system rigged against you, you know what it feels like when the ground drops out from under your feet. Drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from, because the fight I had next, well, it changed everything. The drive home from the airport felt like it was stretching out forever, way longer than I remembered. You know, after so many nights in the desert where every mile could be your last, you'd think I'd be used to surprises. But nothing prepared me for this. I passed old haunts, the gas station where I'd snuck cigarettes as a kid, the fork in the road where my dad taught me to drive, and then down that dusty track toward the lake. And then I saw it, a black iron gate, 10 feet tall and locked so tight it could have held back a prison break. On it, a cold metal sign, Lake Vista HOA, private property. No trespassing. My GPS said I was home, but everything in my bones screamed otherwise. The gate was cracked open, just enough for me to edge through in my beat-up Chevy. The whole place was unrecognizable. Modern walls, bright red tile roofs, infinity pools glinting in the sun where there used to be cottonwoods. Behind the second villa, I caught a glimpse of cracked concrete, the outline of the old cabin's foundation, half buried, like a ghost of what used to be. That's when I met Kyle. Maybe 50, wore a security polo, looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. Knocked on my window and asked if he could help me, real flat. I told him this is my land, I've just come home from overseas, and I'm looking for answers. His face didn't budge. He tells me, no, this property now belongs to Lake Vista HOA as of 2023. If I don't leave, he's calling the cops. I keep my voice calm, ask to speak with whoever's in charge, and 5 minutes later, a black Lexus glides in. Out steps a woman, maybe late 50s, hair perfect, sunglasses expensive, smile so practiced it could cut glass. She introduces herself, Gwendolyn Ashford, HOA president. I tell her straight, my grandfather left me this place in 2019. I paid the taxes and I never sold it. Her smile goes even colder, and she pulls out a leather folder like she's about to serve me an eviction notice. She lays out the deed, Lake Vista HOA, all proper and notarized, dated last June. Flips to another page, rental agreements through Airbnb, my name listed everywhere as the owner. I tell her I never signed a single paper, and I was overseas for the whole supposed sale. She just shrugs, says if I've got a problem, take it up with the courts, but right now, I need to get off her property. I snap photos of everything before she slams the folder shut. Kyle moves in, hand hovering over his radio. As I back away toward my truck, that's when I see it. At the gate, a giant sign, Lake Vista Villas, Luxury Lakefront Rentals, managed by Fletcher Properties, LLC. My name, my family's land, used as the face of a whole scam. Driving away, I felt that old combat tension settling in. This wasn't a firefight, but the mission was the same. Survive, fight back, don't let them win. I checked into Motel 6, 6 miles from the lake, called my sister Bryn, a civil lawyer in the city, smart, relentless. She answered with her usual, "Where are you?" I cut her off, told her everything. Someone took the cabin, forged my signature, built villas, made me look complicit. There was a long pause, then her voice dropped, steel in it. She checked the county records first thing, said if my signature was forged, that was felony territory, and we'd take the whole deed transfer down. I lay back and stared at the stained ceiling, picturing the old dock, the sunrise over the water I'd spent so many nights dreaming about overseas. Now it was all just gone. That night, I thought about the last thing I'd signed before deploying, a county survey for a water quality study, handled by some guy named Sterling Radcliffe. This morning, I'd seen that same name in Gwen Allen's folder. That's when it clicked. They'd stolen my signature from a real document, forged the rest, and built their whole scam on top of it. Bryn drove through the night and met me at the county recorder's office, eyes red, legal pads in hand. The clerk pulls up the records. Sure enough, a deed transfer from me to Lake Vista HOA, notarized June 15th, 2023. I look at the signature. It's mine almost, but the hook on the F is just a little too smooth. I tell them it's a fake. The clerk shrugs, hire a lawyer, file a complaint, you know the drill. Bryn scans the document and points out the notary's name, Willa Beaumont. She jots it down, checks the contact email listed on the deed, Fletcher.properties.llc at Proton Mail. I've never touched Proton Mail in my life. She says that's identity theft on top of forgery, and we'll need a private investigator to chase this down. I know a guy, Holden Merrick, former NYPD, worked fraud cases, and owes me a favor from the veterans group. We call him. That night, the weight of what I was up against really hit me. If the county's accepted forged deeds, I'm liable for everything. Injuries, lawsuits, fires. Gwen Allen hadn't just stolen my land. She'd built a legal trap, and I was the bait. But she'd made a mistake. I wasn't quitting. Bryn and I built a case. Grandfather's will, my deployment orders, tax receipts, photos. Next stop, the HOA office. It's a bland strip mall, corporate cold. A receptionist tells us to wait. After 10 minutes, Gwen Allen appears, flanked by Sterling Radcliffe and Francine Gable, the board's accountant. Sterling's the one who got my signature for the survey. We sit across a table. Might as well be a courtroom. I lay out every piece of proof. Gwen Allen says, you signed the deed June 15th, 2023. Notarized, filed, everything above board. I tell her, I was in Iraq on that day. I've got deployment orders, stamped and certified. She tries to gaslight me. Maybe you're forgetting deployments are stressful. Sterling chimes in, says if I feel defrauded, it's between me and the notary. Bryn gets sharp. She says we'll have the deed forensically analyzed, and if the HOA's in on the fraud, they're criminally liable. Gwen Allen says take it to court, then tries to end the meeting. I start recording on my phone. Gwen Allen flips out, tells me to stop, threatens to call security. I push, ask Sterling if he remembers the 2022 water survey. He goes blank for a second, then says he's processed hundreds. I tell him I have the email, I know where my signature came from. Silence. Gwen Allen threatens us with arrest if we don't leave. As we go, I catch her hissing at Sterling to notify Waverly if I lawyer up. Back outside, Bryn looks pale. She says this isn't just a land grab, it's organized crime. I show her what I found, Lake Vista HOA, registered in Nevada just a month before the fake sale, no physical address, just a PO. Box. She says, if there's money, there's a trail. Holden is already digging. Bryn warns me, if we push this, they'll fight back. Try to smear me, twist my service record, claim I'm unstable. I know the playbook. Doesn't matter. When we get the proof, nothing else will matter. Holden finds out the notary, Willa Beaumont, disappeared right after notarizing my sale. Turns out, she's hiding in Mexico, paid off in cash, and scared for her life. Bryn promises her immunity if she comes clean. Willa agrees to a video call, shakes as she tells us Sterling offered her 50 grand and a clean slate if she notarized the deed. She shows us texts, bank transfers, even a photo of the cash. That's the break. Meanwhile, Bryn's forensic IT guy digs into the metadata of the deed. The digital file was created in Nevada. Signature was a digital cut and paste. Email account opened the same week as the shell company. All the IP addresses track back to the HOA office, the lawyer's office in Nevada. They try to make it look legit, but left fingerprints everywhere. But when we walk into the sheriff's office with everything, hard evidence, a scared notary, digital forensics, the sergeant leans back, looks bored, and says, sounds like a civil matter, refuses to even open a file. Bryn's hands shake with anger outside. She says, this isn't incompetence, it's protection. Someone's covering for them. We file an emergency motion in court to freeze the property. The judge assigned? Conrad Waverly. I should have known. The same guy Gwen Allen named in the HOA office, a judge with deep ties to the development company. He barely glances at our evidence, listens to the HOA's lawyer paint me as a traumatized vet with buyer's remorse and rules against us. He says the deed's valid, refuses to freeze the rentals, but orders the income held in escrow. Holden finds out the judge's wife, Margot Waverly, is the registered agent for Lake Vista HOA. The judge was literally presiding over his own wife's company. Judicial misconduct, open and shut. This just went federal. We call the FBI. The FBI's Geneva Caldwell meets with us. She wants airtight proof, financial trails, intent, coordination. Our IT guy traces $2.1 million in rental profits through a maze of shell companies to an offshore trust in the Caymans. Beneficiaries: Gwen Allen, Sterling, Margot Waverly, and the HOA's lawyer. Caldwell says that's enough to open a case. The FBI runs an undercover op. Holden goes in as a fake investor, gets Gwen Allen bragging on tape about how she gets stubborn owners to cooperate, how she makes things legal on paper, and how Judge Waverly helps out because his wife's a partner. She laughs, says, the burden of proof is always on them. We got it all. Wire fraud, conspiracy, corruption, money laundering. The FBI moves fast. They arrest Gwen Allen and Sterling in the middle of the HOA's annual meeting. Judge Waverly, his wife Margot, the HOA's lawyer, all taken down the same day. Caldwell announces to a room full of shocked residents that the villas are seized, my land's returned, and every dollar's going into federal receivership. After everything, months of fighting, sleepless nights, threats, being called crazy, it was finally over. My name was restored, the fraudulent deed voided. Local news went wild. Veterans' land stolen by corrupt HOA. Judge arrested in conspiracy. The state bar suspends the attorney. The sheriff's office investigates its own. The judge is benched. Margot's assets frozen. Standing at the gate, looking at the empty villas with FBI tape across the doors, I didn't feel triumphant. I felt relief. I could finally breathe. 6 months later, federal court. Every player on trial. Jury listens to the evidence. Forged signatures, digital trails, the notary's tearful confession, the recording of Gwen Allen bragging about her scheme. The jury comes back, guilty on all counts. Sentencing is harsh. Gwen Allen, 15 years and millions in restitution. Sterling, 12. Margot, 8. Waverly, stripped of his judgeship and 10 years behind bars. 3 months after sentencing, I stand at the water's edge, sun coming up over the lake. 2 villas are gone, torn down. I kept one, fixed it up to feel like it belonged here, and sold the other 2 to a conservation trust. The money sits untouched. For the first time since coming home, I know this land is mine, by blood, by law, by battle. Bryn comes by, asks how it feels. I tell her, it's like I fought a war twice. Only this time, the enemy wore suits and ties. She says I should be proud, that most people would have folded. But giving up meant letting them win, and that's never been my style. They passed a law in my name, the Fletcher Act. Judges can't rule on cases involving their family. HOAs face annual audits, and deployed military have new protections. I gave a speech, but I left before the applause. I wasn't interested in being a hero. I just wanted my life back. Sitting on the dock, feet dangling in the water, I pull out the new deed. My name, clear and clean. No forgeries, no lies. A kayak drifts by, someone waves. The lake is finally peaceful again. Justice isn't a gift. It's a right, and sometimes you have to fight like hell to get it. So, let me ask you, what does justice mean to you? Have you ever had to fight for what was yours when the whole world said you were wrong? Drop your story in the comments. Let's hear about your battle. And if you made it this far, share this story, because sometimes the only way to fix a broken system is to drag it into the light.